Chapter 10. The Absolute cannot be remembered because it cannot be forgotten. For those who have identification with the body, this knowledge has no meaning. It cannot act. Despite this fact, the visits these people make here will not be totally in vain. They will bear fruit at some future time. The effects of the visits will be like the aftermath of the rains. Grass or plants will be seen coming out automatically, sprouting. Interpreter. Many people come here to have Maharaj's last darshan, to see him at least once during their lifetime. They don't visit him for knowledge per se. He also said, "So long as I am visible, you can come and have a look." It is what we cannot see that is more important. When somebody puts a question, he does not know to whom I am talking. He thinks that I am talking to myself. When a question is there, the reply is spontaneously available. The origin of the I consciousness being known, the reply comes spontaneously. I am experiencing the world, but for that, have I made any efforts? My true state, that is the absolute state, cannot be remembered, because it cannot be forgotten. Without remembering that and without putting in any efforts, the experience of the world happens. You have the memory of the knowledge of your birth. That is, somebody has sold you a bill of goods by informing you that you were born, and that memory stays very firm with you. Initially, you did not have this memory of birth, but your mother or parent or somebody else rammed it down your throat. Subsequently, this concept was constantly reinforced with steady effort, like driving a nail into the wall. As a result, that memory has become very strong with you. Ultimately, this very concept is strangulating you. In the absence of the beingness, when you did not know about your existence, both the world and the joy of the Brahman were worthless to you. They acquired value only when you came to know that you existed. In fact, until then, nothing was of any value to you. This memory I am is neither true nor false. It is without these two attributes. That memory of beingness only appears to exist. Without the knowledge of the body, that it exists and other bodies also exist, you will not feel better. In other words, you can entertain yourself only so long as you know you are identified with your body and consider other people also as bodies, not as knowledge. Then only can you have entertainment in this world and pass time. Otherwise, how can you pass time? What do you mean by seeing everything as knowledge? When you no longer see the world as a collective of names and forms, as objects or bodies, real understanding has no color and design. That is why, insofar as I am concerned, self-love does not exist. The love for existence does not exist. You may or may not believe this. The necessity to be for existence is non-existent. I can accept that. I am asking you, without body, how to pass time. For a sage is that principle which is prior to body, timeless. How did he pass time? When the body was not there, that is, when the consciousness was not there, how many years passed by without knowledge of existence? It is a timeless state. When you witness, only then there is time. Time and consciousness appear together. Without consciousness, there is no time. For consciousness is time, and there is no consciousness prior to body. But then what was there? No. The question was how to pass time. Your question does not arise. Sometimes you like to ask a question but do not know what to ask. You don't hit on the correct question, the only appropriate one. The question comes up in jerks like a cat, you know. It touches with its mouth the udders of the mother. We call it bunting. Then what is the knowledge of religion? How do you understand this? Time suspension? Your eternal true state is your religion, svarupa. The word means your own true state. To remain in that is your svadharma, your own religion. All other things concern religions of others, not yours. For one who has no form, how can he behave in accordance with his religion? Svadharma means to abide in beingness. In this world we refer to some entity as God. That God, is he having any behavior? Has he any tradition, any rules and regulations? I think all those rules and regulations are just a product of man's concept. The only validity I have ever seen in any religion is that for people who are obviously not interested in the highest teachings of truth, such as Maharajas, these rules for public morality might confer some sort of order so that behavior is conducted in an orderly manner. Then society becomes more cohesive than it would otherwise be, with everybody selfishly going for what he wants, although that is what usually happens anyway. I suppose ideally it creates a platform of stability so that we may truly hear what Maharaj has to say to us. Other than that, I don't know. For eternal peace you must dwell in yourself. Know how this touch of I am has appeared. All other knowledge is of no use in this connection. Certainly organizing a religion is of no use. When you listen to these talks for yourself, will you have any advantage? It depends on what you mean by self. Well, the answer will have to be no, because this self is to be undone, forgotten. To the true self, nothing can be added anyhow. So where could there be any benefits to it? You may feel like listening to the talks presented, although there is no advantage to it, right? That is putting it in absolute terms. I am listening because I have a lot to learn. We all want the state Maharaj enjoys, so in that sense his talks are of great benefit. I am trying to tell you, give up all this trash, whatever you are studying, in the name of religion, in the name of spirituality. Understand only one thing. That godly principle is there, that I-am-ness, or consciousness. That is the godliest of principles. It is there only so long as the vital breath or life force is there. This vital breath has 5 aspects and is called pancha prana. It is the motive force for all activities. When the 5-aspected vital force is there, then only this quality of beingness is there, which is called guna. This beingness at present is your nature. You are that only. So worship that principle. That quality, the touch of I-am-ness or consciousness, is something like the sweetness of the sugar cane. The sugar cane is there. The inside fibrous material is there. The juice is there, and the sweetness is the ultimate. Similarly, in this case, the final thing is that quality or the touch of beingness. That is the Ishwara principle. You are that. Abide in it and worship that only. Then only will you reach and abide in the eternal peace, and not by discussing any other precepts regarding spirituality. A person got a baby. The baby was delivered to the mother. Unfortunately, the vital breath had left the body. The child was dead and the body was disposed of. The question now is, what exactly did leave the body? The vital breath. But suppose the vital breath were there. Then that touch of I-am-ness would have been present in the child, and that consciousness would have been there. The parents would have fondled that body, a live baby. But since the vital breath was gone, that life is gone. The beingness is no more there, and therefore it is just a dead body. Where there is vital breath, the knowledge I am is present. There being no vital breath, the knowledge of I-am-ness is absent. Take full advantage of the naturally available capital with you. That is your life force and the knowledge I am. They always go hand in hand. Right now, exploit it to the utmost. All worldly activities are going on only because of the knowledge I am, together with that motive force, which is the life force, the vital breath. And that is not something apart from you. You are that only. Investigate and study this exclusively. Pranaswar means the God of the vital breath. Now this breath or life force and the knowledge, that quality of beingness, both together are myself. Fortunately, you have both these aspects together with you. You are that only. Therefore abide in that, worship that, only. What concept is bunting at you now? Addressing a new visitor who announces he has practiced Patanjali Yoga for 20 years. In your study of yoga over the past 20 years, what identity have you found? What image have you formed about yourself? What is your true nature? Have you come upon that? What do you earn your living by? Interior decorator, furniture design. With all your study of yoga, Patanjali, and sutra of 20 years, have you achieved whatever you set out to achieve? I am enjoying permanent happiness 24 hours non-stop since 20 long years. For what purpose have you come here? Just to hear, for telling you of my experience. Those names that you mentioned, I have heard them. I have not made a study of them, and they are only names to me. You may have come having heard that there is this Yanni here, but I am telling you I have no knowledge of any ancient texts or anything. The only thing I know is this consciousness, this beingness, the knowledge that I am here. And I know how and why or in what circumstances it has come, and the value of that consciousness, that is all. I started from the fact that I had no knowledge of birth and how I got this body and the consciousness. I was surprised that this body and the consciousness should have come suddenly without my knowledge, without my permission. So whatever my thought and my knowledge, it started from there. Inquiry started from that point. But Patanjali and Pranayama and Kundalini, all these are only names to me. I have never practiced anything of that sort. I also feel it is not necessary. The Patanjali system I also tried, studying it from 1973 to 1976, without the help of any books or anything. I was trying to achieve mental concentration since I felt most miserable, physically and mentally. I was so disturbed that I wanted peace more than anything else. So that was my training, to achieve mental concentration. I went through a lot of trouble, went into seclusion in one room where I sat for about 1.5 months. How am I concerned with your whole history? It is nobody's business. With all your study for 20 years and having reached such a high standard, there was no need for you to come here. Maybe I'll come once or twice, that is all. 3 times, maximum, that is enough. Everybody is equal here. We are not concerned with the knowledge that you have acquired. This is my existence. Interpreter. Maharaj is speaking for himself. The other day you may remember he was talking about the resolution of his original inquiry, when he reached the conclusion that whatever knowledge he had acquired was all ignorance. And then he got the final satisfaction and peace. A man with a keen intellect who comes here, within a very short time, say 10, 15 minutes, should be able to arrive at the conclusion that all knowledge is ignorance and that the personality is a fraud. But you are not accepting Maharaj's conclusion that all knowledge is ignorance. So Maharaj tells you to do a lot of meditation and find out, how did I get this first consciousness, this knowledge of existence? I did not ask for it, but suddenly, automatically, spontaneously, it has come about without my knowledge. How has it happened? Come to the solution of this mystery. Originally it is there, that is why it has come. When all the 4 Vedas ultimately came to the conclusion that it was beyond this power, what will your words achieve? Nobody's words can achieve, no word can achieve this thing. When the word stops, what state is there? If he thinks he is a Yanni, he is wasting his time. Only that person who thinks he has no knowledge should come here. But people like you who think they have knowledge, there is no use in coming here. You are wasting your time. No, I don't think I have knowledge. No use your coming here. You are wasting your time. I don't think anything like that. If somebody thinks it is a problem, I don't think. Interpreter, please, we come here to listen to his words, and we don't intend to make any comments that are irrelevant. Therefore, whatever he says, and that is being translated, if you have a question on that, what happens to the people who come here? They come because they consider themselves ignorant and want knowledge. So when they listen, they get knowledge, and ultimately they give it up again as being unnecessary. But those who consider themselves to be a Yanni, who consider that they have knowledge, They are wasting their time by coming here. For a person who is a yoni to come here, no yoni will come here. For coming here itself is an admission that he is not a yoni. Therefore, it would be impossible for him to come here. Only someone who is in need of knowledge will come here. What is the extent of my knowledge? Nobody will ask, Bombay, where have you come from, and give me any details of it. Nor would Bombay ask anyone, where have you come from, and what are your antecedents? That is the extent of my knowledge. Advaita means unicity. In that, how can there be two, one asking another? Interpreter. Maharaj says his center of seeing is no longer from the phenomenal. It lies in the noumenon. But persons come here, and to that extent we are phenomena. Therefore, in dealing with us, he is forced to see and speak from the point of view of the phenomenon. Otherwise, as far as he is concerned, he is totally in the noumenon. And so whatever happens in the phenomenal realm cannot and does not affect him. People call to invite him, and he appreciates that, but he says, what is the use? I don't have an instrument with which to enjoy that hospitality or whatever is being offered. The instrument no longer functions. Anything considered eminently acceptable cannot be accepted because it has no effect on me, since there is nothing with which I can enjoy it. But that is a position which I am unable to express, or is not to be expressed to others. All worldly wisdom and activities are directed toward acquiring worldly happiness. Whatever one sees, one gets interested in. There's a couplet which says that to anyone who is interested in worldly activities and pleasures, how can unworldly wisdom even come near him? A person may read religious books and get interested in them, but for what purpose? Reading them gives him a sense of satisfaction, a feeling that he has done something worthwhile. He has done his duty as far as spiritual matters are concerned. That is all right, so far as it goes. But what have you done to see your true nature? The 5 kinds of sensory perception, anything perceived by the senses, all that is only concerned with worldly pleasures. Sensory perception can give only pleasures of these 5 senses. There is no 6th kind of pleasure which sensory perception can give you. One who has not realized the nature of the 5 elements and the 5 senses of perception will get himself involved and remain involved, but the one who has seen their nature and the way they work will remain aloof and apart from them. I repeat, what is this state before this knowledge I am came upon me? When the knowledge I am came, the one who is satisfied with that will reach the state where he considers himself God and Brahman. But he does not go beyond it or prior to it. In the ultimate state lies the prior state, that is, the state before this knowledge I am ever dawned on me, the highest state, the best state, the original state. Consider the concept that the 5 elements and the 3 gunas are the lotus with these leaves, the little petals. When you remove its petals, then what remains? The Marathi word for lotus is kamala, and the last 2 syllables, mala, means impurity. So you remove the impurity, and then what remains? Unless there is impurity, how can you see the purity? In pure purity, you will not see either purity or anything. Only through the impurity can you perceive purity. Then you see both impurity and purity, seeing against the backdrop of purity. So here again is a further description of the one who has reached the delivered state. When everything has been given up and nothing creates attachment any longer, neither knowledge nor worldly pleasures, then one is in the state of deliverance. So that is as being the emperor of that original state. There is no attachment for that which is born, not even for that consciousness which is there. When all impurity of any kind, everything has disappeared, then the original state is reached. Consciousness cannot exist without the body, which is the result of procreation. So ultimately, is this consciousness itself not based upon impurity? Earlier, I had asked if anyone comes here who considers himself to be a yoni. We will ask him, What is your age? He is bound to say so many years. Now that calculation, is it not based on the start of that impurity? Or rather from the day of the manifestation of that impurity? He who still carries the concept of his physical age cannot be a jnani. Here is another example of non-attachment. A close relative and associate of mine died recently. Does that personality who is now considered dead have any use for me? Do I have any use for him? Does he have any use for himself? Whatever people may say about his death, what has happened? Consider exactly what has happened, and therefore don't be attached to him. This is an example of pure knowledge. That is, will the person who has gone, or whatever has gone, have any memory of myself? Then what is the point of my keeping memories of him, of that which has gone? There is nothing in the field of ignorance which can be pointed to as a comparison for the original state of fullness and wholeness, that which is. I repeat, just imagine that state. It is impossible to imagine. Any way in which we could imagine it would belittle us. It would still be a concept. Interpreter. Maharaj is asking Mr. P to show his proficiency with words to explain what is inexplainable. This disease, which the doctors say has visited me, is it not clear that that on which this disease has come is purely a phenomenal object? It is only on a phenomenal object that this can come. What is this particular disease going to do that would otherwise not happen? That which was given the designation and name of birth will come to an end. This is the only thing that could happen, with or without disease. So what has this disease achieved by itself? You might observe vastly different reactions from different individuals. One may be flabbergasted, downcast, and horrified. Another may take it as a sign of the coming final ecstasy, that which will help to remove the burden of what is called birth. Is it then not something to be very happy about? The actual pronouncement of the disease has achieved one thing. That knowledge, which was very clearly understood, has remained in the background and the phenomenal object was in the foreground. Now, with this pronouncement, the phenomenal object has practically disappeared. This mere speck of consciousness is the only thing that remains, and is to go. Who is to suffer the normal progress of this dreaded disease? Or what is to suffer, and what is its result? The result will be that that which was given the designation or name of birth may be wiped out. That is all that will happen. What is the normal process of fear? Any event that causes fear, if one succumbs to it, the fear envelops you. But if you do not accept it, the event that is something to be feared, and you look at it squarely in the face, then what happens is that the fear-causing event remains at a distance. My teaching is very simple. There are two things to be understood. One is something I can see about myself, which is time-bound, proceeding from a particular point to a particular point. Beyond the latter point, whatever was perceptible will become imperceptible. The second is my original state, which was imperceptible, remains. So these two states are merely to be understood. There is nothing else to be done. Now, I have a question. Through homeopathy, can you know the life force? No, you cannot know the life force. The whole assumption by which one is able to get people well, and your experience proves it every day, is that a homeopathic remedy in and of itself cannot cure disease. We believe that what we do is just stimulate the life force to do a better job or redirect what happens to it, and by making a slight change. In the same way a catalyst does in a chemical reaction, you are able to heal where nothing else would work. When you don't know that life force, how can you make any changes in it? Well, we can observe it with the machines we use. That is how we observe it. That is how we believe we have made a great advance on the traditional ways of prescribing homeopathic remedies, which are much more hit and miss and time-consuming in finding out what will work. But when Maharaj asked me, do I know the life force? I only feel it working in my very own body in still very unrefined ways. That is all I can say. So it is not the sort of intimate, profound insight that he would have into its workings. You cannot clearly know the quality of the consciousness or the type of consciousness. Machines will never tell us that. In Hindustani music, there are various ragas. The experts know the differences between these ragas and can teach accordingly. Similarly, the changes in this consciousness, the types or quality of consciousness, can they be detected and explained? No, I don't believe they can. Bodily changes, yes. Changes in the body's substance that you can detect, but not in the consciousness. And at a subtle energy level relative to the body, but nothing more than that. I believe it can be known through experience, consciously, but it cannot be measured by machines. The only time we can see it, upsets on an emotional level hampering us, is when people don't respond. You just develop an intuition about what is happening with a certain patient, but you are not able to measure it directly. You just see their lack of response and know there is a tremendous stress input from those levels in their lives. Whatever changes take place in the body substance, the consciousness is similarly affected. The emotions are also affected. I believe that is so. You cannot get lasting satisfaction from reading books, so you must try to know the seed of this knowingness, its very quality. Only then can you have this eternal peace or lasting satisfaction. But once you understand that, then what happens is of no further use, because there is no experiencer of all that anymore. What is of no use? That satisfaction, or eternal peace, is of no use, because there is no experiencer of it. That is my state. Consciousness is the product of this body substance. So when you transcend it, then it is of no use to that ultimate principle. I call a siddha, one who has attained the ultimate. In that ultimate state, the devotee and God, the Maya, the primary illusion, and the Brahman, all these concepts cease to exist. And there is no beneficiary or experiencer of all that, because he is without the concept I am. He does not know I am. He does not know that he exists in that state. That knowingness is completely obliterated. The experiencing state begins only with the aid of knowingness. But this knowingness is the product of this objective world, this objective matter, this food body. Through it, that sattva advaita, atomic consciousness, is understood. Then it is seen to fall into the category of illusion. It is ultimately non-existent, and thereafter twin categories such as God, devotee, Maya, Brahman, all these concepts, this entire world of duality, cease to exist. This love of beingness is there in all living creatures. The beingness is loved. That self itself is loved. But the love of beingness, where is the origin of that? The origin lies in that atomic consciousness. This known, only then can you transcend it. People are talking about this devotee and relative of mine, one Mr. H, who recently passed away. H represented the pulsation of something named H. So what happened to that pulsation, as he is no more there? That principle, for the entity of which this pulsation manifested itself, has vanished. People have tried to explain it by saying that H has gone to heaven. He will again be incarnated and so on. Now, what is that thing that is responsible for the incarnation? There must be something, mustn't there, because of which the pulsations happen? The pulsation itself is the life force, but then we identify that as some individual. The principal concept is the knowledge I am. It is the mother of all other concepts. When this concept is there, then so many other concepts also appear. Now, whatever religions there are, they are only full of concepts. Somebody likes a particular concept and passes it on to his disciples, and he gets a following. But with that, they cannot get eternal peace or satisfaction. In order to get that satisfaction, you must find the source of this primary concept, I am. And once you know that, you can transcend it. Then you do not have anything to tell the world, because the world wants only fragmentary modifications. They want activities. So this knowledge will remain only with yourself, and there will not be any customers for it. Pulsation means movement. Movement means air, the vital breath. Outside the body, it is called air. Within the body, it is called vital force. One who knows that state prior to the pulsation, he is the sage. When people come to me, I only tell them that you can meditate on Brahma, Krishna, and all this, but instead of doing that, you should give attention to the knowledge I am, and meditate on that by itself. Knowledge is to be got hold of by knowledge only. This will produce the seed which, through this process of meditation, slowly grows into a big tree, and that itself will give you all the knowledge. It will not be necessary for you to ask anyone what is what. These two entities are available to you, the vital force and the knowledge I am, the consciousness. They appear without any effort. They are there. Now, in order to be one with Ishwara, to understand the non-duality, you must worship the vital force. Then that knowledge which is in seed form slowly grows, and the seeker becomes full of knowledge. In the process, he transcends that, and the ultimate state is achieved. What do you mean by full of knowledge? It is the conviction about your true self, intense and direct abidance in the self. Chapter 11. Understand your own incarnation. At the moment you know that you exist, you are in the seed of the beingness, although ultimately even this very beingness is to be transcended. Everything is enfolded in that seed, just like a whole oak tree is contained in an acorn. Similarly, everything is contained in that consciousness. The whole world is there, and that body is also present. I am itself is the world. It contains the entire world. That should be your conviction, just as in a dream when you feel that you are awake, but actually you are not, and your world at that time is the dream world. Similarly, this knowingness in the waking state contains this so-called real world. That conviction must come. The truth is that there is no difference between dream consciousness and waking consciousness, although they appear to be greatly different. All consciousness is one. Your consciousness itself gives rise to this world, which is a unified field, a unicity. But it may be objected there is such an infinite variety of shapes and colors in the world. How can reality then be said to be not two, Advaita? It is because all these differences exist only in your consciousness as appearances. The source is the same consciousness, but the manifestation exhibits so much variety. The conviction that this world never existed can happen only to the Parabrahman. If this is indeed your conviction, then you are the Parabrahman. This thing aside, you should discover how this news I am, the knowledge of your existence, appeared and at what moment. Go to the source of it and find out. By looking up to others, to so-called experts, and following them or arguing with them, you will not get anywhere. Thus, only you yourself can find out the truth about yourself. You will come with me wherever I go. In saying that, I am referring to the vital force, prana. Make friends with prana, and prana will help you to know God. The mind is only a witness. Your real friend is the prana, because it does everything. Waking, sleeping, digesting food, all these activities are done by the vital force. Atman is only a witness. So give importance to this vital force and worship it. and you will be able to know God. In order to do any meditation, you should make friendship with the vital force. It is readily available without any effort. Because of the prana, there is mind. And because of the mind, there are the Vedas. So ultimately, the source of this whole scripture is the vital force. That is why I give full homage to the vital force. Without it, what would be your value? Your body would collapse. Only when the vital force is present do you know the world. The world has value, and God has value. You can know about God and world only when the vital force is there. Who knows the greatness of this prana? That itself is God, Paraneshwar. As to the connection between mind and vital force, mind is the language of the vital force. When there is no vital force, there is also no mind. The words of prana signify mind. So how could there be mind without vital force? This vital force and the consciousness, that is the knowledge I am, or the beingness and the mind, appear simultaneously and always exist together. Knowledge about the vital force is not generally available. It has not been recorded anywhere, so this information might be new to you. Now you have listened to me 2 or 3 times. What is its result on you? I know that whatever Maharaj has told us is the truth. Now I also requested of him to show me a way, so he says sadhana is not the way, though it helps, initially. But more important, most essential, is determination. So that I am practicing. It is a very difficult thing, and with his blessing one day I will succeed. You will do sadhana only until you receive the fruit of it. Eventually you will receive the result in the palm of your hand. Until then, you will do some practice. What generally do you do spiritual practices for? What do you make an effort for? If you do any sadhana, you expect to get something out of it. You say to yourself, this is what I want. So any sadhana implies a purpose. Whatever kind of sadhana is done, one does it with a certain aim in mind. Now, who or what is the entity that is practicing? Who is doing the sadhana? It has no form and no shape. So where is it? It is within this form, this body, the indwelling principle. For how long will it continue practicing, and what is its aim? The aim is to abide in the self only. Until then it will continue the sadhana. Once it is established in the self, then the objective, the person who is practicing, and the process of practicing are all one only. Sadhaka and sadhana become one only. You see, when you make sankalpa, what does it indicate? Objective, the need. That is the whole purpose of sankalpa. What do you mean by sankalpa? Sankalpa means objective, intense desire and determination. Sankalpa actually means you express. What is the objective of sadhana? I want this. Say you want a medical degree. That is sankalpa. Then sadhana is your practicing and attending college, doing the homework. All that is sadhana. You made a sankalpa to meet him today. Then you came, walked, climbed the stairs. That is the sadhana. Sankalpa, for example, that I want to meet him, has no form or shape. It is the objective and its expression. Now the one who makes this sankalpa, that one also has no form. For how long do you have to continue this practice? So long as you are identifying with form. Until then, the practice will go on. Once you reach the objective, that is, you are not the body-mind, not the body-form any longer, there is no practice anymore. You have great faith in the Bhagavad Gita. Is it not so? What is Bhagavad Gita? Gita is the song sung by Lord Krishna. He sang the song, just as I am singing this talk to you now. This is his Gita. Now you are facing Bhagavad Gita. You read it, recite it, remember it. But what is important? You must get to know that Krishna who sang that Gita. You must get his knowledge, what he is. Is it not an incarnation? Lord Krishna, he descended into this world, incarnation. In short, from nothingness the form was taken. That is what is meant by descending into form. That is avatar. Normally, for an ordinary soul, you would say that from nothingness the person has appeared. You would just call it a birth. But in the case of these great personalities, great sages, you call it avatar, incarnation. It is good that you are studying the Gita. But what about the Bhagavan Krishna who sang that Gita? What about him? Are you taking care of him by understanding him? Now you are trying to understand him through bhakti. It means you are creating certain concepts. That is not correct. From nothingness he is or he was. How did this happen? What was it that descended? It is this incarnation that you must understand. The descent into avatar, into a form. Attendance of this beingness. Avatar, what is this? That is to be studied and understood. Prior to incarnation, whatever that personality, he had no knowledge about himself. After descending into this incarnation, he started to deliver himself. Prior to that, there was no knowledge about himself. Before avatar, was he not Brahman, Paramatman? Before descending into this avatar, this knowledge quality was not present. Knowingness was not there. The I am was absent, not available. It is a non-knowing state, but afterwards the state comprises all conceptual titles and names, and they are a person's shackles. Suppose some convicted person is at large and the government wants to apprehend him. So how would the government arrest him? Through the shackles of his name. If he did not have those shackles on him, would he have been caught? In the core of yourself, there is no imposition of any title or name. But externally, on the surface, you accept it. Therefore, that internal core, which has no name, how can you arrest that? What is the leash each man has? What are the shackles he wears? It is only the name. Any person, any embodied person with that knowledge I am carries on his activities in the world with the shackles of name only. If he had no name, it would not be possible to carry on with the activities. In that inner core, that knowingness or I-am-ness, there are no shackles. Once it is understood that I am is purely I am, formless and not that shackled body form, then no liberation is called for. To be stabilized in that beingness which has no name and form, that itself is liberation. What I am driving at is the following. You are a devotee of Krishna and Bhagavad Gita, but do you have the knowledge of Lord Krishna? You know the historical facts about his birth and so on, all that you know by heart. But you must know what this incarnation is. After this process of incarnation, that is, forming as the body, is over, then only this knowledge I am dawns in him. Then he knows he is, but in that prior process he does not. All the beings, all the personalities are hauled into court, and I am introducing this Lord Krishna as the chief accused, representing all. So I am talking about him. What is this incarnation? He represents all humanity. If he was the Lord Krishna, what was he before he took avatar? He or it was a state of peace, bereft of five elemental play, without the five elements. What will he be after death? Interpreter. Whatever he is telling you relates to the self, the Atman. Atman, when he uses that word, is not that I, the individualistic or personified I. He sometimes says we. Normally he uses the term apan, which means not conditioned by body-mind, something like we. I am that? No, not that. I, that core, without form and name. About that I talk. You ask me whether it applies to you. What I say applies to the Atman. Understanding what that avatar is, the Lord Krishna avatar means in essence abiding in that only. then one is not the body. And what is the body? It is a mere aid for the sustenance or endurance of that I am principle, to prepare the reception of this avatar, that is, the consciousness. This body principle, which is actually only an aid, an instrument, or container, got ready first. Then once it understood, that is, when there is abidance in the consciousness only, this thing gets purified and also reaches the status of Brahman. Now look at this example. You collected various types of vegetation. You started boiling this mixture, this essence. Finally it got concentrated and solidified, assuming a form, vegetable. Now the taste of that is something like the I-am-ness taste. This is also vegetable matter, the quintessence of all vegetation. Out of that this body is formed, which is the food, and this food sustains that taste of I-am-ness. Who started mixing and who started boiling? Some power? Some Shakti? Who made those flowers? What is that unknown power? That alone is the Lord Krishna principle. So after incarnation, he got the form of Krishna. And that Krishna name, that particular personality, started moving about and working in the world. But in the formation of this incarnation, what form was there? Or what was the agent? What was the aid? That is just what I wanted to know. Right, now you inquire about your own form and the knowledge that consciousness you are. How did it come about? Was the form there prior to birth? Was it available? No, only because of Vasudeva and Devaki, Lord Krishna's parents. Krishna was there. So the instruments for the formation of that avatar were Vasudeva and Devaki. Similarly, you had your parents as the aid or instruments. And so long as both instruments, Vasudeva and Devaki, were not available, Lord Krishna was not available either. Do you understand now that your parents are the instruments of your incarnation? Once you solve this primary riddle, all the riddles of the world are solved for you. Are you fully convinced about this? 5 ingredients with different tastes were mixed together. After mixing, a new product was created that had a taste, all its own. Similarly, out of the 5 elemental interactions or play, finally its culmination is reached as this body form and that I-am-ness taste. This is a very important step. This I-am-ness is the product of this objective world of 5 elemental play, from Vanaspati to Vachaspati. The former means vegetation, organic material. Out of that this body is there, and from the quintessence of this body comes the knowledge, I am. I call it Vachaspati. To repeat, Vanaspati, product, is vegetable matter. But what is the quintessence of that? Vachaspati, the language or sound that is the quintessence of that Brihaspati, that most knowledgeable consciousness manifest. There, only a human being reaches the highest state of Brihaspati. Not other animals. They have no scope. There is no opportunity for them. One who understands this process of incarnation will have gone through the entire thing. He will have studied all the instruments and everything. In this process, he escapes or transcends that. And he is beyond that. He is free of everything. The I taste represents my father, mother. The quality of the quintessence of my parents, I am. The juices or secretions of the parents get mingled together. The taste of that I am. Don't you understand how the incarnation of Lord Krishna also took place? I doubt whether this is clear to you. It is clear. The process of incarnation of Lord Krishna is exactly like this. So when the quintessence of the parents gets consumed or exhausted, it is said in common parlance, he, the offspring, is dead. And then the I-am-ness taste also vanished. Now can you get to know Lord Krishna? I will try. I dismiss this very idea that one should try or make efforts. It is actually a very mischievous concept. It is enough to understand the core meaning of all this. That is all. Once you abide in the meaning of that, where's the question of sadhana? If evolution is a fact, why were initially souls born in such a disadvantaged position that they had to keep improving birth after birth? You see, this is the counter-question I normally put. If your next birth is decided because of your past actions, but then what about your very first birth? I do not believe in reincarnation. However, I do not want to discuss that either, but if someone insists and says the Shastras says so, I will say yes, the Shastras, the scriptures states it like that. I do not want to discuss further on that point because it is adding to your concepts. Right here and now, I want you to understand what is what. That knowledge I am is not there after death. So where is any individuality left? So how can there be any question of further births? The fact is that nothing is born. There is no world. The world appears, but it is not there. So you are talking about the next birth. But there is no birth at all. Even now, there is no birth. Understand Krishna. Krishna, or any of the avatars, is merely a happening which has come and gone. You are not affected. So who is it that needs enlightenment? There is no entity that needs enlightenment. There is no such thing as enlightenment. After the body's death, there is Vijnana, the absolute state. In spite of the body, I am in the Vijnana state. Worlds come and go. I am the original being. Inquire only about your own self. When your very birth is disproved non-existent, where's the question of rebirth? Don't worry about the world. Worry about your own self, about your own birth. These concepts, reincarnation, etc., are meant for the ignorant. Once you settle this issue of incarnation of Lord Krishna and yourself, everything is over. For a number of years you have been studying. You have been active in this field of spirituality, but who is doing all this? That you are not taught. Whatever spirituality you may be practicing is full of concepts only. But actually, who is doing all the studies? That you have not understood. The reason that there is no realization in spite of all your trouble is that you are trying to identify with the body. You don't give up that identification. If you do not consider yourself as anything else, then at least consider yourself as the vital force. Identify yourself as the vital force and be like that. Other than the vital force, what is the most important thing in your body? Nothing. The vital force is the most important. I will again give you a very good explanation of what is mind. Whatever impressions you receive through the five senses, whatever you see, hear, taste, etc., all these impressions are in that vital force itself. They are ultimately gathered in the vital force, in the form of words. Language is the mind. Whatever you have never heard, you will never speak. Whatever happens through the five sense organs, whatever is known, is photographed and accumulated in the vital force. And the language of the vital force is the mind. Through the vital breath you perceive the world. And when you perceive the world, you perceive the five dimensions, or rather the five aspects of whatever you observe through your five senses, and then it is recorded. That vital breath is therefore the most important motive force available to you. And when that vital force is available, it means you are also there. That I-am-ness, consciousness or beingness, and the vital force both always exist together, like sugar and sweetness. What is this vital force and that beingness? They form the quintessence of the five elemental play. Being part of it, it has come to fruition as I-am-ness. So don't try to make a fragment of it. That quintessential I-am-ness means everything. So when you embrace the body, that I am the body idea, you make a fragment out of the totality. And this is the crucial mistake. Whatever experience you get, you study that experience, you understand it, but who is taking the photographs of all the experiences? Is it the vital breath? Where do you figure in all this? For all the species, including human beings, this vital force itself is godly. And this vital force also contains that Ishwara or consciousness principle. Now you should find out, how are you going to focus your attention on that vital breath and meditate on the self? That is for you to discover. The vital breath gets conditioned or manacled by the bondage of name. It accepts the name as I am. This is the mistake. That which is deconditioned from name and form is Paramatman. That which is conditioned by the body, mind and name and form is called Jiva. The language of the vital breath is mind, and the mind is the motive force for all activities. Have you any questions on this aspect, this theme only? It is very difficult to ask questions at this point. If you are able to establish yourself in the vital breath as you are, you become manifest. The vital breath, when it is conditioned by the body, you call it a personality. But as a matter of fact, the vital breath is spread all over. It is manifest. It is universal. If you are stabilized in the vital breath as I am, that in itself will get you there. The vital breath is not confined to the body. All elements are moved, operated by the vital breath. But because it is inside the body, you call it prana, vital breath. This vital breath itself is a vital energy. And that qualitative principle is the knowingness that is in the vital force. It appears your studies of this subject are essentially based on whatever information you collect from others. That is a pity. The vital breath knows no death, and the indwelling principle, that qualitative principle I-am-ness, it also cannot have death. If I die without realizing I am this principle, what will happen? You will die. In this connection, please don't use that word I, that exclusive personified I. You should talk without it. The moment you say I, you are personified. You become individual. This body? What do you mean by body? Body is the food for that touch of I-am-ness consciousness. Now take this chemical, whatever is fixed to that stick, holding a match. That is the food for that spark. So long as this chemical ingredient is available, that food is available. And until then, the spark will last. It seems you never feel happy unless you get identified with the body. Get instead identified with the vital force, the vital breath, and then talk. Have you ever seen the vital breath lying dead as a corpse? What is the vital primary capital available to you now? It is the vital force only, and with that you perceive through the senses. By worshipping that vital force, if the body drops, when in common parlance it is known as dead, actually, do I die? Your pranasvar, that divine vital breath, is it at any time apart from your body? Wherever you go, you are always accompanied. Who is your constant escort? It is that pranasvar, that vital force. If there is no association with this vital force, can there be that I-am-ness? In life, if I do not realize myself and the body drops, what will happen to that vital breath? You are accusing the vital breath. The body will drop, but what will happen to you, the vital breath? Whether I realize or I do not realize myself, there is a difference. What does it matter? That is my responsibility from my standpoint. For millions of years eternally I never knew I was. How did it matter? In the absolute state, that I-am-ness was not available. What did happen? It did not matter at all. Because of the confluence of the vital breath and that touch of I-am-ness, There are all these incidences of pleasure and pain. The cause of all that is this confluence, vital breath, and I-am-ness. Does the vital breath, prana itself, suffer pain or pleasure? No, but here that I-am-ness is lacking. You talk on this thing, you only presume that you are a jnani. What knowledge have you? Everybody takes pride and thinks, I am knowledgeable. You might attain any distinction, any elevated level in this world, but this fear of death is not going to leave you. This charge that I am going to die, is it imposed on that I-am-ness or this vital force? The pity is, until we reach that death, we always embrace the body as our identity, and therefore we have that fear of death. When the vital force operates through the body, that touch of I-am-ness is felt. Now I am not going to talk anymore unless you raise some questions. Let me digest first what I have heard. There is a simple fact. Where is the question of digesting my talk? You are the vital force, and the vital force is universal, that is all. When you thoroughly and truly understand anything without aberrations, where's the question of working toward further conviction? What is coming between me and my enlightenment? When I have understood, I have faith in it. Even between implies the idea that you are the body. That is the obstacle. So I must practice to forget it, or visualize it, at once. Actually, it is not necessary for you to try to forget it. Once you say that you are the vital breath, where is the question of your trying to forget that you are the body? Let me make it very clear to you. This body is the food. It contains blood and bones. On that this vital breath is sustained, or the vital breath consumes this food. And with the vital breath, this touch of I-am-ness, the beingness, comes about. Yes, in the morning Maharaj explained this very convincingly. How has it been put to use? If it was driven home and has been understood very clearly, where's the scope for all these questions? You are the Paramatman, the Brahman. If that is too difficult, then at least try to be this vital breath, this universal air only. Is gold itself crooked? But when you make an ornament out of it, that is, you give the gold a form and name, it becomes distorted or crooked. Just as by giving yourself a name, you became crooked. Gold as such is not stupid. Gold means the self without name and form. But in gold, when it was transformed into an ornament and given a name, the distortion or stupidity started. Epilogue. The sum and substance of my teaching is this. Don't be dishonest to your vital breath. Worship that only. Abide in that only. Accept it as yourself. And when you worship in this manner, it can lead you anywhere, to any heights. This is the quintessence of my talks. Presently you are to be identified with the vital breath. Then you will realize, like the sweetness in sugar cane, that this touch of I-am-ness which is dwelling in the vital breath will open up. So understand these words, this advice. Assimilate it. And so long as the vital breath is flowing through you, abide in that. If the vital breath is there, you are there, and so is Ishwara. In such simplified fashion, nobody has expounded this profound knowledge. July 15, 1980.